You know, the Indian Premier League auction? It's just pure spectacle, isn't it? It's high stakes, high drama. It's a place where crores of rupees are thrown around in minutes, where reputations are built, and where sometimes they are just absolutely shattered. So today, we're going to dive deep into the financial graveyard of the IPL and count down the 10 biggest auction flops in the league's entire history. But before we even get started, let me ask you a question to frame this whole thing. We see these huge auction prices flash across the screen, right? But what does that actually mean on the field? What's the real, tangible cost of a single run from one of these superstar players? I think the answer is going to shock you.
For one player, in one pretty infamous season, a single run cost his team an eye-watering 6.5 lakh rupees. Yeah, you heard that right. 6.5 lakhs for every single run he put on the board. We'll get to who that was later in the countdown, so stick around. But first, how do you even measure a flop?
Look, this isn't just going to be about opinions and gut feelings. We're going to get a little scientific here and use some simple but really powerful metrics to build our list. We're talking cost per run, or CPR, and cost per wicket, CPW. This is how we can actually measure the return, or, the lack of return, on these massive investments. It's all about value for money. Okay, let's kick off the countdown with numbers 10 down to 7. I'm calling this section the reputation tax. It's when teams pay this huge premium for a big name, but what they get is a performance that's just a shadow of their former self.
So at number 10, we've got Glenn Maxwell. Back in 2020, Punjab Kings shelled out over 10 crore for the big show. We all know Maxwell, right? The guy is a six-hitting machine for Australia. But for Punjab that season, he scored just 108 runs and, this is just unbelievable. He failed to hit a single six, not one. The failure was so bad, it apparently forced his own captain, KL Rahul, to play more defensively, which just slowed the whole team down.
Coming in at number 9 is Dinesh Karthik. So after a pretty solid 2014 season with Delhi, Royal Challengers Bangalore spent a hefty 10.5 crores on him in 2015. And you can see the result right there. His run count just collapsed. It went from 325 all the way down to a measly 141 runs in 16 matches. That's a dismal average of just 12. Ouch.
And at number 8, we have one of the biggest surprise stories, Pawan Negi. He basically won the lottery in 2016, when Delhi Daredevils paid a whopping 8.5 crores for him. But that dream, well, it turned into a nightmare pretty fast. In 8 matches, he scraped together just 57 runs and took only 1 wicket, all while getting hit for over 9 runs and over. It was a complete disaster with both the bat and the ball.
And the fans? Oh, they definitely noticed. This quote from a fan on Reddit at the time just sums it up perfectly. The phrase money waste was literally everywhere you looked. He became the poster child for a high-priced player who could barely even get a game. All right, rounding out our first block at number 7 is the English pacer Tymall Mills. In 2017, RCB took a huge gamble, 12 crores, on his raw pace. The return on that investment was catastrophic. He played just 5 matches and took only 5 wickets. Now, let's do the math here, because it's staggering. RCB paid 2.4 crore rupees for every single wicket he took. Okay, on to our next group, number 6 down to 4. I'm calling this one the overseas gamble. Franchises absolutely love to splash the cash on big international stars, especially all-arounders and fast bowlers. But as we're about to see, it's a super high-risk strategy that, often blows up in their faces. First up, at number 6, it's Pat Cummins. In 2020, Kolkata Knight Riders made him the most expensive overseas player in the auction. Now, to be fair, he did find success later on, but his main job at KKR, it just didn't justify that 15.5 crore price tag. Only 21 wickets across 2 full seasons was a far cry from the dominant force they thought they were paying for. At number 5, we've got another case of a team just falling in love with a tall, fast bowler. This time it was RCB again, spending 15 crores on New Zealand's Kyle Jamieson in 2021. The whole gamble on his height and bounce just did not pay off on those Indian pitches. 9 wickets in 9 matches before getting dropped. It was another massive investment down the drain for RCB.
Kicking off our top 4 is Sam Curran. In 2023, he became the most expensive player of the season when Punjab Kings paid a record-shattering 18.5 crores for him. Now, if you look at his all-round numbers, 276 runs and 10 wickets, they aren't terrible on their own. But for the highest-paid player in the league, it was a deeply underwhelming performance that just didn't come close to matching that historic price.
And now, we've made it. The podium.
The top 3. These aren't just bad deals, people. These are the most infamous, eye-watering, budget-breaking blunders in the history of the IPL auction. Welcome to the Hall of Shame.
Taking the bronze medal for the biggest flop is the South African all-arounder Chris Morris. In 2021, Rajasthan Royals made him, for a little while, the most expensive player in IPL history at 16.25 crores. He was supposed to be their finisher, their death-over specialist. Instead, he scored only 67 runs all season. And while he did take 15 wickets, his economy rate was a very, very expensive 9.17. He retired from cricket the very next year.
Our runner-up, the silver medalist for the biggest flop, is Ben Stokes. Chennai Super Kings got the English superstar for 16.25 crores in 2023, and they were expecting him to be the absolute centerpiece of their team. But then, disaster. A knee injury forced him out of the tournament after only 2 matches. Just think about that. It means CSK paid an unbelievable 8.12 crore rupees for each of his 2 appearances. Just a massive financial blow from pure bad luck.
And that brings us to number 1, the undisputed king of the auction flop. The player whose season is the benchmark for a disastrous return on investment. The single biggest flop in the history of the IPL auction is
Yuvraj Singh. Back in 2015, the Delhi Daredevils completely broke the bank. They spent a then-record 16 crore rupees to bring the Indian legend to their team. It was this huge move filled with so much hope and massive, massive expectations.
But the reality was a catastrophe. In 14 matches, Yuvraj Singh managed just 248 runs at a tiny average of 19. As one report put it, his lack of form directly hurt the team's chances. And this brings us right back to that number from the beginning. That 16 crore investment resulted in a cost per run of 6.5 lakh rupees. It just cements the season as the ultimate auction failure.
And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. After that season, Delhi's CEO, Hemant Dua, said this: "The reason of releasing him is to rationalize our budget. That is the most corporate, PR-friendly way of saying we made a massive 16 crore mistake and we have to cut our losses. Now." So that's our top 10. But it really makes you wonder, right? Why does this keep happening? How do these smart franchises, with whole teams of analysts, consistently make these huge, multi-crore blunders year after year? Well, when you look at the data, the patterns become pretty clear. It usually boils down to a few key mistakes. First, teams get caught up in these emotional bidding wars and just overspend on one big name, which throws the whole squad out of balance. Then there's the problem of paying for a player's reputation, for what they did years ago instead of their current form. Third, so many teams fall into the overseas all-rounder trap, paying a premium for a player who just can't adapt to Indian conditions. And finally, you get inconsistent team selections, so these expensive guys never even get a chance to settle in. So, it all leaves us with this one final thought. The IPL auction, it's a total pressure cooker where logic can just fly right out the window. And as our countdown has shown, a big reputation is incredibly expensive. But what you really need, on-field efficiency, that's priceless. Which really makes you wonder, is winning at the auction table a game of skill, or is it just pure, high-stakes luck?